There's been an explosion of popularity in cold water plunging, with signs pointing to possible long-term benefits ranging from improved insulin sensitivity, increased metabolic rate, reduced inflammation, and a strengthened immune system. In addition to this are the claims of mental health benefits, with many stating improvements in their depression, alertness, and stress levels. It's no wonder more and more people around the world are jumping into that ice-cold water. Now, to better understand cold water immersion, I challenged myself to try it every day for a week, and at the end of the challenge, I'll be heading up to a frozen lake in the mountains to plunge into sub-zero temperatures. But with no prior experience in cold water immersion, I have a long road ahead of me to train my body and mind, with the ultimate goal of acclimating myself to extended cold exposure. Do I have what it takes, and will I feel any of the benefits from this experience? It's time to better understand cold water immersion. It's the first day, and I gotta tell you, it was hard leaving that warm bed knowing that I'm gonna go into a river that is flowing with ice-cold mountain water. But this is the first step, and the first step is usually the hardest. What you're witnessing now is not me playing up how cold it is. It's my body going into shock, gasping, hyperventilating, and my fight or flight reaction being triggered. It's hard to explain the feeling, but I'm doing whatever I can to stay in the water, but my body is telling me to escape before I reach hypothermia. I'm not exaggerating when I say it's taking all my mental and physical strength to stay in, but every passing second feels like an eternity. My whole body is tingling. That is an extreme shock to the system. Fuck. I couldn't last more than a minute. And just like that, my first cold plunge was over. Now that I'm out of the water, it felt like it ended just as fast as it began. 60 seconds in the water, and it felt like 60 seconds too long. Reality hit me knowing that this was just the beginning, and if I'm gonna plunge into sub-freezing temperatures, I have a lot of training ahead of me. After a long hot shower that felt like heaven, it's time to go about my normal routine. And at this point, I was feeling really good. I didn't feel the need for coffee, but I was ready for some hot breakfast. After breakfast, I was heading to the Buff Dudes gym to take some tutorial pictures for our new 12-week program we're working on. It's going to be a new edition of our old 12-week program, which you can find at buffdudes.us, along with all our other programs and apparel. It was the end of the day and it was time to get my workout in. I hit my shoulders hard, got a sweet pump, but I knew all too well first thing tomorrow morning, I was going to be back in that ice-cold water. I guess I'll see if cold plunging helps with DOMs. Day 2. I feel like there's 2 jumping off points. The first one is just getting out of the comfort of the warm truck. And the second one, of course, is getting in the water. It's only the second day and I feel like I have a little PTSD from yesterday. That water was just so extremely cold. I'm not really looking forward to doing it right now. It's 30 degrees out, but you just gotta take the leap. Here we go. Ooh, just trying to get mentally ready. See if you're gonna last.
minute 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. We'll see.
I tried to focus on controlling my breathing, clearing my mind, and trying to relax, but I couldn't help but look at my watch as the seconds ticked by. It didn't feel any easier than the first day, but I was determined to stay in that water for as long as I could.
Oh man, that's not easy. God. There we go. I think it lasted about a minute 30 seconds and oh man. I'm feeling it for sure. Oh, I gotta get warm. The second day's done and I gotta say that was pretty tough. I feel like that was a little bit more difficult than the first day just because I knew how cold that water was gonna be. But once you kind of get past that fight or flight mechanism, that dopamine, that adrenaline hits you, especially once you get out of the water. It feels pretty good. You conquered it, you got past it, and that is one hell of a way to start your day. But now, I gotta warm up, because I am shivering like crazy. It is the third day, and I have a special guest this morning. It is cold out today. It's one of the colder days, and we're gonna see if you have what it takes.
I fought tooth and nail against this, but
Yeah, you did.
I just ultimately couldn't resist.
I said, hey, as long as you go in at like waist deep, I think that's doable for sure.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Feet first and then go from there. Are you ready?
No.
Having the experience of the prior 2 days, I wanted to push myself to the limit, and having a plunge partner gave me the extra motivation to stay in that water, even if she only got in ankle deep.
Body's tingling like crazy. Alright, that's about 2 minutes. My body is completely numb. That is insane. One of the colder days, the wind chill is insane. God, I gotta get warm. You came on the right day. Or the wrong day, I should say, for you.
It's funny because when I was walking in, I was like, okay, like this isn't so bad. But once I got to that point, it's like this alarm inside of me started blaring, like to get out as fast as I could. And that is exactly what I did. I have to work up to that because that was way too intense for me.
It is something you have to work into. But I made it 2 minutes this time, so I feel it too. I feel the difference. Holy shit.
It feels like your body parts are just going to start shutting down and turning black and falling off.
I'm gonna turn this heat on, go home, take a hot shower, because holy shit, I am cold.
Continuing on with my normal post-plunge routine, I took a hot shower and made a hot breakfast. After finally warming up and finishing my breakfast, I met up with Hudson and shot a new Buff Dudes vid. And once my day was done, I set my alarm and fell asleep with the idea of getting up early for another plunge in the river.
I couldn't do it this morning. I had no motivation to get in that cold river water. But I still gotta get my training in. I guess it's time for a cold shower.
The water wasn't as cold as the river, but it still felt shockingly cold. And I'm not sure if it's because your body can't be fully submerged or not. Half of your body is slightly warm and the other half feels like it's being pummeled with cold water, but either way, I suffered for 5 minutes before calling it quits. But I knew taking a cold shower isn't gonna cut it. After today, I realized I need to take this to the next level. I'm gonna go online, find some cool locations, because it's time to take a Buff Dudes cold plunge road trip. It took some time, but I found some great places for my cold plunges. I booked a hotel and the plan was to head out first thing tomorrow morning. We made it to the first location, and I can't help but always feel a little nervous before getting into the water. But with this beautiful scenery, I let my thoughts go and start enjoying the process. With the first location done, it was time to get back on the road. We checked into a little cottage by the beach. It was cozy, it was warm, but the ocean was calling my name. Surviving the ocean, it was time to find another location. We found a little river outlet, and Michaela decided to give it another go.
I gotta go.
With this being my second plunge and seeing Michaela's reaction, I started to feel like a cold water veteran. I was calm, collected, relaxed, and literally very cool. I was finally starting to feel like I was making progress, but we still had one more stop on this trip, and this would be the last test before my final plunge, and it was going to be epic.
That is incredible. Ooh, I think I'm getting a better understanding of what this is all about.
Once we were back from our trip, I was revitalized and finally felt ready to take my final plunge. But I was going to need some help. I contacted my friend Brad, who is an avalanche safety instructor, a mountaineer, and an all-around badass. He owns a company, Uller, and takes people out in the wilderness and teaches them how to conduct themselves around and in avalanche terrain. Now, he normally doesn't take people out for ice plunges, but he happily agreed, but explained to me I needed the right gear. So I logged into his website, checked out his recommended gear list, and went shopping. Once I had everything I needed, I had one more person to recruit. The only dude I know who is crazy enough to do it with me, my brother Hudson.
It has been a full week of cold plunging, and it's all led up to this moment right here. It's icy rain, it's snow, it is frigid temperatures, but thankfully we have a professional here, Brad Martin, and he's been doing this for quite a while. Now, this is a little out of your wheelhouse though. You've never taken people out to do an ice plunge though.
Yeah, this is a little bit new, but always up for new, fun experiences with buff dudes.
Here we go. About to head out.
After an 8-mile ride, we still had a 3-mile hike ahead of us to the lake. We set up camp, went over safety measures, and then Hudson started to saw into the ice. It took a while, but we made a hole big enough for us to fit. Brad set up a safety line for emergencies, and it was finally time for me to get into the water.
Okay, here we go.
It's been 7 days of cold plunging, and all I could think about was what an amazing journey this has been, and how long I've come from the first plunge. From gasping and hyperventilating to now easily submerging myself into an ice lake. I can understand why so many people do this. It's not only for the possible benefits, but it's a way to prove to yourself you can achieve something if you put your mind to it. It's a practice in physical and mental strength, being out in nature and conquering fear. As I sat in the cold water, I couldn't help but feel grateful, happy, and alive.
Yeah! Woo! That was crazy. Coldest by far. Controlled the breathing. But wow. In a way that felt pretty damn good.
That wraps up my 7-day cold water immersion journey. Now, though 7 days isn't long enough to notice any of the long-term benefits, I feel like I definitely felt the short-term benefits and have a better understanding of why people do this. And I plan on continuing to introduce plunges into my weekly routine. Now, if you have anything in your life that seems scary or unachievable, hopefully this video gave you some inspiration to take the plunge, whatever that might be. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, stay buff, and we'll see you in the next one.